I'm gonna give you 5 mental hacks to help you become an elite athlete, and we're gonna start right now. What's up everybody, it's Dane Miller from GarageStrength.com, and if this is your first time to the channel and you're interested in becoming an elite athlete, you wanna be a better coach, you wanna dominate your opponents, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you ring that notification bell so we can help you become a beast. So we are live here at Hayward Field at the Olympic trials in 2021, and what we've been able to witness over the last couple of days here is elite athletes qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. And so what does that entail? Everybody sees that surface level area where, you know, the athlete runs across the finish line, they get their hands raised, they get to stand on top of the podium, they get to have the medals, they get to qualify, and they get to run around the stadium with a flag. But in all reality, what does that mean? What goes into all of those different aspects? We know that there's a ton of physical preparation. We know that there's a ton of technical preparation, but there's something that we neglect to observe and that we neglect to even train, and that's those mental hacks. What are the mental hacks that these athletes are using to get to that top, to establish that big time bar, to go out and break the world record? What are they doing? And that's where we're gonna start with those top 5 mental hacks that you can utilize today to become a better athlete. That first big step is to visualize that macro perspective. And so what does that mean? We've got to think about what's the end result, what's that end goal, and constantly remind ourselves what that end result is. What do we want? What do we want to achieve as an athlete? Does our coach know what we want to achieve at the end of all training? Where do we want to be in this particular moment? And so that's a key factor here, is that if you can think about what we just talked about here at the Olympic trials, you see someone like Ryan Crouser break the world record. He's likely sitting there saying, hey, my end result, I want to break the world record. I want to win multiple Olympic titles. So he has that macro perspective established. And it's the same thing. Okay, these are key macro end result perspectives that we have to keep in mind. So if we want to become the best running back possible, it's I want to run for 1,000 yards. I want to have 30 TDs, and you have that end result. And now you can have that end result established and you can work backwards. But you have to be able to see where you want to be, and then you have to communicate that with your coach. When you can establish that from a mental perspective, now you can revisit that end result over and over and over again. And as you're clawing away and as you're training, that is what motivates you. That's that mental aspect that's constantly motivating you as you work towards that macro goal. That second key mental hack that you can utilize to become an elite level athlete is to meditate. And that could be meditation, it could be prayer, but I actually do believe even if you're praying, you're still actively charging your brain, right? You're still actively trying to work towards whoever that higher power is for you. That's why I do believe even people who pray can still benefit tremendously from meditation. And if you can think about meditation as quiet sitting. So you're gonna sit down and you're gonna try and get all the thoughts out of your brain. You wanna get no thoughts are gonna be popping inside of your mind. Everything is gonna be quiet. And I believe that this is a skill that if you can master, and I like to call it intermittent quiet sitting, okay? It's intermittent meditation. It's intermittent meditation where throughout the day, you sit down for 1 minute to 2 minutes and you just practice the skill of blocking out distractions. You turn off your phone, you ignore people, you ignore distractions around you, and you are only inside of yourself and you try to push those thoughts outside of your mind. And where this can take you is it's gonna help you handle stress a lot better. It's gonna help you handle the moment a lot better. So we have that macro end perspective established. Now, when we're training and we're focusing on meditation, we're dealing with a lot of stress, you have the skill of quiet sitting established, and you're able to block out all these external distractions that could inhibit you achieving that end result. So when you establish that meditation or that intermittent quiet sitting skill, it can go a really, really long way of creating more power from a mental perspective, which in turn will lead to greater physical output. So that third key mental hack is gonna be focusing on macro stress, okay? So if we can think about what is macro stress, I like to call macro stress, you gotta pay your bills. You've gotta have a plan for the entire year. What are you gonna be doing throughout the entire year at certain points of specific months? When are you gonna be around your family? When are you gonna be solely focused on training? Oftentimes athletes will just wait till that week that they go home, and then they'll say, oh, I gotta leave to go home. But if we can plan that macro stress, we can sit there and analyze and say, I've got to have a car, I've got to be able to pay my bills, I've got to be able to pay my cell phone bill, I've got to be able to have health insurance, all of these things. And if we can have a plan, that impacts us mentally. A lot of times we like to sit there and pretend that those issues aren't there, that stress is not there, but we have to engage it. And that's part of mental training, is that engage things that are right in front of us, engage things in the big picture, and learn what skills and tools you can utilize to minimize it from a stressful perspective. If you're attacking each and every little thing, now you have a way to handle the stress. When you handle your stress more effectively, you can perform at a higher level. The athlete that manages stress the best is the world champion. And you can sit here and you can watch the best athletes in the world. They're going to end up being successful in every other aspect of their life because they know how to manage stress. They know how to manage it from that big picture perspective. They know how to manage it from that micro perspective. So from that macro perspective, with this third trick, just sit there, plan out your year, plan out every little detail with bills, plan out all the things that you need with insurance, with your car, with all the other aspects and other relationships that you have. And that's gonna help you manage everything to get to that end result, that big time dream that you wanna have, that you wanna achieve as a world-class athlete. That fourth key mental hack is gonna be prepare for micro stress. Okay, so if that macro stress is all of those bills that we've got to pay, all of the yearly schedule is laid out, right? And how you're going to handle that. That micro stress is going to be when someone is saying something in training, how can I handle that? And these are skills you have to develop. It's easy for us to see technical skills. If you're an Olympic weightlifter, it's easy to see, when I snatch, I've got to do this. When I clean, I got to do this. When I jerk, I got to do this, from a technical perspective. But we always push the mental perspective way out of the line, right? But one of the issues there is that if we engage that micro stress and we challenge ourselves on a moment by moment basis, which means I can't stand to hear people chew with their mouth open. Guess what? That's micro stress. I've got to learn how to handle that so it doesn't have a negative impact on my day. I get mad and have road rage when I'm driving. I don't anymore, but I used to. Well, what did I do? I worked on how to handle going through these steps to handle that micro stress. So if you're an athlete, it could be, hey, I'm about to go take a throw as a shot putter and this person's talking behind me. Well, how can you block that out? How can you ignore that? How can you be inside of yourself, one with yourself, so that you can execute as effectively as possible? Same with if your coach says something that you find to be offensive. How can you handle that micro stress? There's gotta be a way for you to deal with that and say, listen, what's the worst case scenario here? What is bothering me? Well, in my case, this person's chewing with their mouth open. Why are they chewing with their mouth open? Their parents never told them to chew with their mouth closed. Is that bad? Does that mean they're a bad person? No. Okay, get over it. Something along those lines where you have a check by check by check system in place. Now all of a sudden you have these skills so that when you're warming up at the Olympic trials and someone's blocking you off, they're walking in front of you, you can mentally warm up. You can mentally do movements and feel your technique. Now you have that micro stress managed and you're less stressed. And guess what? That means you're gonna be the one who comes out on top. So have tricks, understand it's a skill and it has to constantly be improved upon throughout your entire existence. It's not a once and done thing. It takes years and years and years of your entire life to manage that micro stress. Finally, that fifth key hack is going to be visualize that micro perspective actively. Okay, so what does that mean? That's a little bit, we're getting away from the stressors and now we're actually focusing on the technique, the movement, the lifts that you have to do, the mobility that you have to do. If you can sit there and think about if you're a sprinter, right? Or if you are a baseball player and you're visualizing from that micro perspective, you're sitting there saying, you know what? My dream is that it's the bottom of the ninth, I'm on a full count and I'm gonna hit a dinger to win the World Series. Well, that's a micro visualization perspective, but you can do that actively. And the way you can do that actively is actually put yourself in the moment when you're doing something like taking batting practice. You put a little bit of extra stress on you. A lot of shot putters tend to do this, throwers, discus throwers, hammer throwers. They'll be in training and they'll put pressure on themselves in training and say, all right, I got 3 throws to hit something big. But they're actively visualizing what's going to happen. This next throw, I'm gonna feel that monster throw. I'm gonna feel myself breaking the world record. Ryan Krauser said that after he broke the world record this weekend. One of the things he said was, hey, when you're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, I've taken thousands of throws where I've broken the world record before this. I knew it was gonna happen. He was actively visualizing. He was getting into the circle, feeling himself doing it, and then actually doing it in training. And the more you can practice that from a mental perspective, the more you can bring that into reality. But it has to be a skill that you work on, you hone on, and you keep improving it over and over and over again so that you can sense that it will become reality. So those are 5 key mental hacks that you can utilize to become an elite athlete. Practice these today. Go home, write down some big picture goals, write down some daily goals, write down some daily stressors that piss you off, and understand that you can improve this, okay? There is light at the end of the tunnel from a schedule and stress perspective. And remember, the athlete that manages stress the best is going to be the athlete that comes out on top. So if you need help with programming, with periodization to minimize stress, click on the link down below. You can pick up one of our Garage Strength custom strength training programs. If you want more content around mental training, click on this card right here. Until next time, guys, peace.